Bandidos, what up? Your boy Tux here, and get ready to level up your Division 2 game with the G.O.A.T build. Why is this build the GOAT? It's all about one-shot kills, dishing out up to 60 million in damage, and moving like a cowboy with no shield holding you back. Unlimited skills, 50% hazard protection, 20% armor on kill, and unlimited healing that keeps you unstoppable. Solo players will love the self-sufficiency, while group players, you're a damage-dealing, self-sufficient beast. Saddle up, Bandidos. Let's do this.
Wait, did we just become best friends? So nice to meet you. I think you're cool.
Piece of shit wristwatch.
Let's start with a quick taste of how this build dances in action. I'll show you the core build, and I'll be giving you the upgraded version for those who want to crank the build to 11. But if you need to hop around, check out the timestamps down below. Here's the vibe. So you're weaving through cover like a pro with this build. Armor always topped off thanks to the new exotic. It's unlimited healing. Your pistol's your best friend, dropping elites and solo heroic with one clean shot. Yep, even the big bad bosses need to snipe out that annoying dude sitting way in the back. Your nemesis will do the trick. And then we're using smart cover, which is going to keep us tanky when we need to be posted up. And the decoys out there tricking enemies so you can pick them off one by one. Skills recharge lightning fast, and with special modifiers, you can reset them on demand so you can make every shot count. I did some solo legendary with this build. There's only a few people that would actually sign up for that, but I wanted to show you that this build has the power for the job. If you're going back and forth between solo play and group play, you're covered. And here's the core GOAT build, and be sure to stick around for the upgraded version of this for those who like to go all in on power. I'm using the Harvest, which is the named Police Magnum. I have pistol damage to targets out of cover, and determined. Really important. This is what allows you to turn anything like body shots into headshots. Even when you hit a weak point, it'll count as a headshot. That is a ton of survivability. You don't have to be a headshot king to use this build. You just need to at least land 2 headshots in a row to activate determined. So you can either do that with your pistol or do what I do, which is use the nemesis to get a really high first shot damage and then whip out the pistol, get one more headshot, which will end up being a kill. That activates determined, and from that point forward, you could just land everything on the body. So the Harvest is a special weapon that's only available from the loot hoarder during special events, like holiday events. It's probably going to be available soon for the summer event, whenever that launches. If you don't have this weapon, don't fret. You're still going to be able to do everything that you saw me doing, even without expertise. Okay, so I stress you don't need expertise for this build. However, I do recommend you run at least 12% on your pistol and your nemesis. For one-shot kill builds, investing in your expertise is definitely recommended. It allows you to break thresholds. Police Magnum is the strongest pistol in the game next to the Harvest, and you don't even have to farm it. You can craft it. You can also go with the D50. It used to be the strongest pistol. It's now the second. It's got a little bit larger mag, but it's also a lot harder to use because of its recoil. But when you're going for body shots, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're looking for peak damage, go for the Magnum. Let's finish up the weapons using the 1886. So it's like the backup to the backup for those random situations where you need more flexibility. Damage to targets out of cover, and again with determined. The other weapon that I'm using a lot. This is what I'm using for those guys that are really deep. And I'm also using the nemesis to kick off the fight to earn my headhunter buff on my chest. And then I rotate into my pistol. So I feel like the nemesis is really important. If you don't have the nemesis, the second best thing is to switch over to the TAC 50 by using the sharpshooter specialization. You're going to end up with more damage anyways because of that. It'll give you more damage to your sniper and rifle and more weapon handling, which is actually pretty good. In exchange, you'll lose 10% armor on kill, but you'll still have 10% armor on kill on the build. I simply didn't go with sharpshooter because I had enough damage, and I didn't need the TAC 50 because I had the nemesis. So that's what you need to know. All right, let's start with the brand new brand set, which is called Imminence Armaments. So it's a really good brand set, actually. It gives you 5% weapon damage. When you're running 2 pieces, you get increased threat, which actually sucks. It's a waste. It's intended mostly for headshot tank builds when you're standing behind a bulwark, and most of us are going to run a foundry set with that and not a squishy red set. Then you get the 60% pistol damage, and that's what we're really after here. So altogether, this is bringing 65% damage to our pistol. And then I'm loading in hazard protection because weapon handling doesn't help a ton for the pistol. I will be running 2 protection from elites mods. It's just added support because I'm not running a shield. We're shieldless. That's just helping a lot because in heroic open world content, there's a lot of elites. Headhunter, this is central for the build. Must have this. This is going to push your headshot to 1,250% of the last headshot kill blow. The backpack is my second piece. It also has hazard protection and headshot damage here, and I'm running the talent Vigilance. Vigilance is 25% more weapon damage. It's really good damage. It's mostly wanted for the first shot. Now, this is bringing in way more damage than we need. As a matter of fact, this whole build, even as I have it set up here with this extra utility of defense, has more damage than I need. You only need 10 million to be efficient in heroic content, and we're exceeding that. The reason why is because of the modifiers. Those guys that have the blue circle on their head, if you crit on them, it's going to remove 35% of your damage. To make sure we had maximum uptime on our one-shot kill capabilities, I created this build so that it's at least 35% overkill. So when that does happen, you're still one-shot killing that dude. That's why Vigilance is here. Otherwise, you'd be able to run something more defensive like. Knee pads, we're running the Cloak. These are actually pretty cool. So these are giving us 50% reduced threat. We don't need anything else in that slot. Otherwise, I'd put hazard protection. For the gloves, I'm running Palisades. I got headshot damage and hazard protection. This gives me 10% armor on kill. That's an additional source of healing when we get pinned down and we're not able to use, ta-da, our exotic holster, the nimble holster. This is actually really good on this kind of build. Because we're shieldless, we're going to be taking damage from time to time and need to heal through that. On shieldless builds, I like doing cover to cover because it makes me move faster, and you can abandon the cover to cover move before you actually reach the end cover, so you don't actually have to touch it. The bob and weave talent here is going to heal you based on how far you move, and it'll still heal you even if you don't touch that end cover to cover movement. It's very convenient. Do lots of cover to covers. You'll be a faster player that way. Enemies miss you more during cover to cover movements. That's part of the mechanic, and you'll be healing at the same time. This will help you keep your armor fresh for engagements. Then you're going to get 20% armor on kill to keep it topped off. The other 10% is coming from Gunner. We got 10% from Gunner, 10% from Palisades for a total of 20% armor on kill, amazing heals from the holster, protection from elites, and there's more coming from the skills. I'm running the fortified smart cover here. You can also run the offensive one that will give you weapon handling and damage to targets out of cover. But since we've gotten damage taken care of, why not take more bonus armor? So when you feel like holding it down in a single spot, then plop this out, get 50% bonus armor. And you can refresh it by quickly popping out of cover and going back in. And then the decoy, you could also run a reviver hive. I want you to know that this build doesn't rely on the modifiers for damage. In fact, the modifier system actually nerfs the build. So if you turned off modifiers, you're going to be more consistent. That's because of the hostile modifiers. The stamina one is giving them overheal, so it reduces your damage by 35% when you crit, which does happen, unfortunately. You don't really want to crit, but it's going to happen from time to time. But the build is spec'd into over damage, like I mentioned earlier. On top of that, they get an extra green bar that gives them more health. So we're consistent against that. But if this wasn't here, I could actually build in more utility into the build. If you're playing without modifiers, you actually have a better build. But I'm cool with that because we're getting the job done. And I really enjoy Tech Link on this build. So Tech Link is allowing me to get my skills back on demand because of the electronics perk at the very bottom. It says at tier 5, all skill downs are reset. So I'll use my decoy and I'll use my smart cover. And when they both go into cooldowns, I'll activate this and get them both back. My cooldowns are going to be buffed anyways because when this is active, which lasts for 25 seconds, my cooldowns are going to just be ridiculous. But when you do activate it, you're also getting more headshot damage because of this passive. That gets doubled. At tier day, I just decided to go for health because I didn't need anything. Tech upgrade gives you more skill duration, which is nice. So on the pistol, you're just shy of 200% headshot damage, and the sniper, 243. Okay, here's the upgraded version of the build for those who are damage hungry. If you're running really challenging content and always in group, this might be the one you need. You're not going to need as much of the utility that the other build provides. I guess you might as well power up. Only a few changes. So the mask is the same. We got the same chest piece, backpack, and knee pads, and even the same exotic holster. But instead of Palisades for the gloves, we're running Habsburg here for 13% headshot damage. And then we got weapon damage, weapon handling, and headshot damage. You can also put Providence here if you don't have a red Habsburg. And then what I did is took off the protection from elites on the mods for the chest and the mask, and I put on headshot damage instead. So just cranking it up a little bit. I still have on hazard protection, but you can also swap this out for weapon handling if you want that instead, which isn't bad for the Nemesis because that thing has horrible weapon sway. And then finally, Instead of running gunner, I'm running sharpshooter to give me a little bit more headshot damage. This also gives me better target acquisition for my long barrels. And when we look at our stats, we're at 294 on the Nemesis. The pistol's at 233. So if you're wondering which of the two builds is my favorite, I would have to say it's the first build, the one with the extra utility. It's just very well-rounded because of how the scaling works. In solo gameplay, there's a lot of extra damage. And so it's super consistent whether I'm running modifiers or not. Moreover, it's a really good XP farm build. As far as the other one goes, the reason why it's not my favorite, even though it's souped up and strong, it's not actually the build, it's more of the content for this kind of build. There's just so much chaos that comes with playing in group, especially in Legendary. The NPCs are just super spongy, and with that comes this bobblehead effect from body flinch, which is actually a thing. And because they're so tanky, there's a lot of body flinch happening. As your team is bumping mag after mag into the enemies, their heads are jiggling all over the place, and you don't get that same effect in solo play. Every target is yours. Their heads are jiggling less because they're not taking damage from additional sources. The other thing is that although you can, it's a little unnecessary to be running a pistol build in group gameplay. Here is me running it in the army terminal, and look at my kill count. So depending on the faction that you're up against, it can go extremely well for you, including the Tusk. They do not like headshots. I have to speak to the downside of the setup in general. So using 3 pieces of Imminence Armaments with the D&H, you can pair pistols with Hunter's Fury and basically do the same thing. And Hunter's Fury is going to give you that 20% armor on kill, which I had to build into this build. And then Hunter's Fury is also going to give you a status effect on kill. And Hunter's Fury is decently consistent. IA, let's just call it, Imminence Armaments, has better consistency, partly because there's just more slots available. It comes out a little bit stronger, but they're really close. And IA does better at all ranges. Hunter's Fury can have some damage drop off when you reach out because of its amplified damage being limited to 20 meters. But with pistol builds, you want to be playing close range anyways. Because the Hunter's Fury version and the IA version were so close on how they performed, in order to differentiate the two, I put on hazard protection. And that's one of the reasons why it's there. 50% hazard protection is meaningful. It's not a game changer, but it is nice to have. And also with Hunter's Fury, you can't run the nimble holster, and that's a really nice holster. If you ended up running that with Hunter's Fury, you'd be forced into running the Hunter's Fury backpack or chest piece, and you don't want to do that. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this build. I'm loving it. This one's going to be here in my loadouts the entire season, if not beyond. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm Tuxedo Bandido, and if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on the good stuff I have coming for you. And if you like content like this, be sure to check out the video I have recommended for you right here. If you have anything you would like me to cover, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make things possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be the same without you.
When you buy a game from Ubisoft, enter the creator code Tuxedo Bandido to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Wait, did we just become best friends?